Mr. and Mrs. Chair, this is a debate about narrative. A debate about to compare which word is better, which is in our side when there are no burden to the millennial generation, or in their side when there are burden to the millennial to change the political rights. So we are not going to, as a government, we are not going to talk about whether or not millennial can save the politics or not, or maybe how we can change the status quo through mechanism. We are not going to talk about that, but we are talking about how which word is better in their side or outside, right? But firstly, what is millennial? Millennial is most likely a person that's born in the 90s and very associated with the gadget, right? But the problem is in their past generation, there's also called as baby boomers, which is the people that born in 70s and most likely more leaning to the conservative. And mostly this kind of baby boomers is as a leader in a political party, right? But firstly, what is political savior in these cases? Political savior is when there is a narrative that you can change the politics to be much more better. Like for example, maybe in the status quo there is a narrative that when politics is dirty and how they only prioritize party mission rather than people welfare or corruption and debt. And this kind of political savior narrative is when this certain person can change the politics to be much more clean and much more savior, or maybe can change the toxic society or religions, right? But first thing first, we say it's very hard for the millennials to change this kind of narrative. Why is this? Firstly, the characterization of the politics itself. The nature of the politics. The nature of politics is no matter how hard you want to change, it is always dirty. Why is that so? Because the politics itself, my mission is to convince people, right? And not only just one people, but there are many people that you need to convince in order for you to be elected, right? Why is that so? Because in order for you to be win, you need to convince as many people as possible. And in order for you to convince that kind of polarization people, sometimes you need to try to dirty campaign or a hoax information. So maybe certain person will fear to the opposition. So some people will be appeal to your side. So therefore, in the end of the day, this kind of the nature of the politics will not change anyway, no matter how hard you want to change. But even if, let's say this kind of millennial generation try to change, it will be very hard because of two reasons. Firstly, the political hierarchy itself. Firstly, the political hierarchy itself. Most of our political hierarchy in Indonesia itself is created by the founding father of the political party. For example, maybe in the Golkar there are Soeharto, or maybe in or Prabowo, or maybe Megawati in PDIP, right? We believe that this kind of founding father is the entity that controlling the party by himself, right? Where this kind of person is seen as a highness that every day what they're saying you should follow because it is their order, right? Why then it is very harmful and very can hampering the millennial generation, because the young politician like the millennial generation, in order for them to reform, to create a better political environment, they need to be popularized. They need to make people appeal to them. And in order for them to be popular and to be elected, firstly they need to join the party. And most of our party in Indonesia is controlled by this kind of high elite like Prabowo or Megawati, right? But even if let's say when this kind of young politician is already inside in the party, they cannot really change the whole world or the whole system itself because it is very hard to change the main goal of the party, which is the main goal of the party itself is associated with the highness like Prabowo or PDIP, right? So therefore it is very hard to change the main principle like Prabowo, maybe conservative or maybe Megawati or anything else, right? But even if let's say this kind of politician can change the system of the party itself, in the end of the day, this kind of young politician will not be fully supported at all. Not be fully supported, even not be fully supported by their politician partner, or maybe will not be supported by the old supporter of the party itself, right? Because they will see that this young politician is trying to opt in too much and try to change our system. So in the end of the day, this kind of young politician will be lost in the next election anyway because the society is not appeal to this young politician. Yes.
Sir, the old political party oligarchy is already unpopular into mainstream society. Don't you think that by this, millennial has higher chances to gain more votes from the society?
No, we don't think so. Because we believe that this kind of political party is still very popular. We can let's talk about the PDIP in Jokowi or maybe Prabowo in the Golkar, right? This kind of main party is still popular. Even if there is a new party like PSI, we believe that this kind of PSI is not as popular as Golkar and as PDIP, right? So therefore your argument is invalid, right? But second reason why it is very hard for this millennial generation to change the whole system itself, right? It is the problem that coming in our Indonesia itself is inherited by the older generation, right? For example, maybe like the culture of the corruption, which is inherited from the Suharto era, right? Or maybe the culture of the seniority that you should follow your senior. That's also coming from the baby boomers, right? That we say this is hampering we believe that it is not justified when there is a problem that inherited from the baby boomers, and then the one that need to solve that is only the millennial generation, right? For example, the problem that coming, for example, maybe in Malaysia when Mahathir or politician that elect Najib, right? That all of corruption is coming from the Najib, right? It is also the same case in Indonesia itself. And most of our corruption is because of the Suharto power that makes it that gives a flexibility of politician to have a corruption inside of the political party, right? So therefore it is not justified because of this kind of problem is inherited from the past generation, and only you just want to put the burden to the young generation to change them, right? So we believe that as outside of the house, we want to change this kind of narrative. We believe that the one who should solve our kind of political problem inside of country is not the millennial generation, but all of the generation inside of the nation itself. Be it baby boomers, be it the millennial generation, or maybe in the future generation like generation X or generation Y or generation Z, right? Because if we still opt into their side of the house, what will happen next is just war like Indonesian generation just put the blame and always blaming the millennial generation without necessarily trying to introspection to themselves. Like for example, baby boomers, why this kind of problem? What is the grassroots of why is the root of the problem can be happening? Right? What will happen next in the side of the house? It's just always blaming. This is because the millennial generation cannot change the future. Because of that, we're proud to propose. Thank you.
Indonesian millennials are exposed to modern political view. They have the capability of seeing Indonesian problem in much more objectified point of views. The government team has failed to mention to you what are the narratives that are actually millennials supporting. The narrative that millennials are supporting are the narrative about humanitarian rights, how to do a more democratic countries, treat LGBT's rights of education, environmental problem, and religious freedoms. Those are the narrative that actually millennials support. Not only how to, for example, getting better how actually going to change the system inside the Indonesian politics, but also these political ideas, these narratives that they are supporting. So what they also failed to mention to you what actually is political theater. Being exposed to progressive values and advocating progressive values and actually wants to fight for it in executive or legislative area, or even just advocating itself, should be considered as a political theater. We're not talking millennials as politicians, but millennials are people who are going to shift our politics gradually. We're not talking about how are we going. They're going to change politics today, but we're going to see how when the old politician retires, these millennials who are supporting this narrative should in status quo we should support them more. Our stand is fairly easy. We highly support Indonesian millennials to pursue to solve this progressive value to be added in Indonesian society. The goal is we want millennials to advocate for progressive values. So those things are failed to be mentioned by the Prime Minister. We're going to talk about how the old politicians cannot solve this problem, because we bring to you all this narrative and how this narrative is going to be beneficial for us, and how in the status quo how these narratives are furthered. How old politicians cannot solve this problem? This is a progressive ideas problem. We can see a lot of religious narratives to use to persecute minority groups, such as Chinese people, Christians, or gay LGBTQ people. Young millennials are the one who still defend them. We see that many politicians in the news when there's gay people are being exposed in the news, they say that we have to ban these people. We need to, for example, we need to ban these people and persecute them, and etc. etc. But at the other side, millennials, these are people who are defending their rights, right? When all all politicians say that these people are wrong, the millennials who see that, well, let's see from their perspective and what they're feeling. These are the narrative that millennials support. This shows that they are, and we can see that how many millennials join the Women's March, women, men, children, and all the millennials join Women's March to promote the equality of all people, all genders. This shows that they are being exposed to this modern society, this modern political views, and they are actually dumping to other millennials to not being blinded by religious narrative that all politicians still use. The religious narrative that we always see from politics is coming from the old politicians. We can see that Teman Ahok is actually supported by millennials, and these people are many of them are millennials, also Muslims, and these millennial Muslims are defending this Christian minority to be their leaders, and this is and we can see that those narratives that they are supporting are present in millennials, but when we see in the opposition side, they still use the religious narrative and they wish to represent Ahok and yes, sir.
Actually, not every millennials are progressive. There are also some millennials that conservative. Your argument is not standing this issue.
My argument is just that we don't neglect there are still conservative people in Indonesia, but actually the more millennials support the progressive value, the more millennials the more conservative millennials could learn how these progressive values, what are these progressive values. Because what millennials are doing, they are exposing this, millennials mainly use gadgets, use internet, use social media to support and to read and use and social problem. And many millennials who support this progressive value are campaigning on social media. And we can see that many, sexual harassment cases are being promoted. How women should deter the sexual harassment cases, how women need to be strong against the sexual harassment, and how women to report them to the police. And many conservative narrative that we always hear, that we are tired of hearing, is how women. The victim blaming of women when women, shouldn't wear a short skirt or a tank top and so on and so forth. But actually, the millennials who are defending the rights of women and how women should dress, and telling men not to break, and telling men not to harassing this woman. And why are these progressive values going to be beneficial for Indonesian society? Minority groups are still being oppressed, even under stable regimes. Gay people are still being prosecuted, women still being victim blamed, and those narratives are being carried by millennials who support the right of social movements. And we have to, as people, we need to support this kind of view, because then again, and because I told you before, the older generation is getting very tired when we do not support this kind of narrative to be on public, to be embodied in millennials' mind. We're going to lose to the conservative people. We can see also there are a battle between conservative and millennials, progressive millennials in Twitter, where people are still defending Prabowo, the worst, and Prabowo is still, wanting to be presidents, and millennials are not, don't want Prabowo to be our leader, and the conservative still wants them to be. So the BOPs then they have is what is actually harmful from supporting this progressive values. Second is how are they going to achieve this progressive value to be added in our society without supporting this millennials group. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we think that the opposition side of the House seems to be very confused on what this debate is supposed to be talking about. We're not talking about whether or not millennials should be progressive or should be conservative, or what value they're supposed to hold on to. We're talking about the narrative, whether or not millennials should be the narrative or whether or not that these millennials are going to be the political saviors of our nation, ladies and gentlemen. Now the narrative that they assume are that like environment and religion and stuff like that, they're not narratives, ladies and gentlemen. They're the sectors that every generation needs to develop on our nation in. And they want these millennials to advocate for progressive values, ladies and gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, we think this is not the goal of this debate. The goal of this debate is which narrative can become a better narrative for the development of politics and our nation itself, ladies and gentlemen. And progressive values does not need to be the specific or exclusive value that that our nation or millennials need to have. They need to explain why. There's no exclusivity of why it has to be progressive values, ladies and gentlemen. And in terms of equality and rights of everyone, we all want this, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we can agree on. But what we need is that the support from the baby boomers generation, or how everyone is working together to build the nation in forms of equality and the rights of women. And we think we can only do this if this narrative does not exist, ladies and gentlemen. And okay, let's just opt into their side of the house in terms of progressive and conservative. Well, but the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, whether this is good or not, this value is good or not, depends whether or not society is suitable for it, or society accepts it. So their arguments on progressive and conservative will not stand if society at the end of the day will not be able to accept it. Okay, now on to my substantive. Now, every generation, ladies and gentlemen, have its differences, like baby boomers, Ys, Z, and millennials. And it's sometimes difficult for one generation to get along with the other. But each generation, ladies and gentlemen, teaches the next. That's the basic principle. Where that's how culture is developed. Because every generation has that culture. For example, like religious values or Indonesian principles or stuff like that. And there are certain things, and the issue is that today, with this narrative, because they said that we like in explaining the narrative, so that is what I'm going to explain about, is that this narrative that they're trying to uphold is that it's going to justify the status quo, where whatever issue that is going on in the country will simply be passed on, will be blamed, and will be passed on to the next generation, to the next, to the next. And the problem is that with this narrative, the problem will never get solved, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be continuous, it's going to be endless, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for example, generations constantly say, first, blaming everything that went wrong is because of millennials. For example, like the generations before, they blame the work ethic of millennials is bad or different or lazy or stuff like that. But if that's a parameter for Indonesia to develop, ladies and gentlemen, then baby boomers saying that the work ethic, this means that the baby boomers are saying that their work ethic is better. If that's the case, then but unfortunately Indonesia is still not developed until today, if let's say that's the case. And then second, putting a burden on these millennials. We think that whatever issue there is today, political leaders constantly say, yes, this is going to be the job of millennials to do this, to do that, to do this. So this means that whatever they said millennials are supposed to do, it's not their job anymore. So when they're finished with their whatever work, or finished with the political standing, for example, they don't care, they don't feel responsible anymore for whatever they've done, or they literally just let go of responsibility to develop the nation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, these two narratives that put Indonesian millennials so much responsibility is what hampers the development of the nation. Why? First, they're going to do this alone. Because this, like I told you before, this problem is going to be continuous, ladies and gentlemen. And no generation is going to try to have the effort to help one another, ladies and gentlemen. And second, they will be constantly blamed for whatever that went wrong in the future. So if let's say, okay, because they put so much burden, and because the millennials, the generations before simply just raise their hands and don't want to know what's going on, whatever that went wrong in the future, they're going to blame millennials, or they're going to blame that generation for whatever that went wrong in the country. But ladies and gentlemen, whatever that went wrong in the country is also an impact of what happened before. Like, for example, like issues like in Papua that we're still facing is from generations before, and we face it today. But it's still not ending. Now, both generations, ladies and gentlemen, have to work together to develop the nation. Because it's not a nation because a nation does not consist of only one generation. It's going to take everyone to develop the country. So why our side of the house is going to be better? The development of the nation will be much easier. First, there will be a better understanding of one another's generation. Because everyone will understand that everyone has this responsibility. So, for example, like now, if let's say this narrative is going to be erased, then generations before will understand that, okay, millennials are perhaps like this, their work ethics are like this, and we can understand that. We'll try to adjust to it. And vice versa, ladies and gentlemen. Millennials will also be, okay, I have to adjust this, I have to respect their elders, or stuff like that. Now, with this better understanding that, because in their side of the house, the generations before simply don't want to know or don't want to understand, that both generations will work together and try to develop the nation. In their side, this blaming and burden culture will simply be passed on. And with this, if this narrative doesn't continue, then at least that the better understanding of everyone will be continued into the future, and perhaps millennials will also teach them to the next generation. And we think they will eventually work together to build the nation. So whatever value they have, there's no whatever value they have, whether it's millennials or generations, there's no narrative, and each generation understands the responsibility of each person. That, okay, maybe I need to help them tidy up, like this is what they need to learn. Like for example, I need to, perhaps the generations before need to teach them on how to perhaps do a certain way of policies, for example, for Indonesia. And then the millennials will also have to adjust, okay, but I want these progressive values. At least there will be some sort of discussion and some sort of working together to eventually build the nation and create policies and create a better political environment for everyone. And that is why we're proud to propose.
Ladies and gentlemen, the government side of the House starts debate to make this debate as a comparative debate within actor and actor. I think that what they should defend is actually the baby boomers and what's so good about them. Because all that they're saying towards us is only that the millennials are unable to overcome the system that's currently established by the baby boomer. But they never told to you what is so dangerous about the narrative coming from the millennial itself. They say that progressive values could be brought by anyone, could be possessed by anyone. But they never say to you why is it inherently really bad for millennials to actually promote this. They already say to you that they also agree with the progressive values that also we support in this debate. But several responses towards the government senators. They told you that the baby boomer generation are already bad, corruptive, they support nepotism, so they create their own oligarchy. But they never prove to you why the current generation and society is still able and justified to rely on this corruptive generation, right? There is a burden they need to prove to you, but never been proven until the second speaker. Second, they state that one generation and another are unable to work with one and another. And in their substantive, they say that the generation needs to work together. So we think that there is a confusion about them in saying like what should this generation actually do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, by they proving that the previous generation are actually corruptive, we think that this will be the urgency of why we need to support the next generation, right? We need to let go of the previous generation. As Tom Chomsky stated to you, in order for the society to develop themselves, they need to let go of the corrosive institution that has been living in there. We think the corrosive institution that's living in the status quo is the one who is holding the political power. I think because this problem, this makes us more justified to support the millennial. But if they say the problem that millennials are able to overcome the system, we are going to prove to you why that the millennials are able. We think in 1998, so many college students go into the streets, fight for the 32 years dictatorship of Suharto, military regime, far more dangerous than the current political leaders. We think if we can overcome those powers, we think that it will be historically able for us millennials today to actually just create an internal structure reform, which is less far more dangerous because we don't have to like fight with guns and so on and so forth. So we think that it is not impossible for us to overcome the system. Second, why we think that the Indonesian millennials is actually already better? Because we need to pay attention on the starting point of the Indonesian millennial. Indonesian millennials majorly born after Reformation. They are born with a new country, a country that they are free of accessing information since the abolishment of Kementerian Penerangan that has been isolating information coming from other countries. Next, they are more open-minded to humanitarian issues because in a generation of massive information, they are able to access information coming from the economists, from every kind of foreign political newspapers, right? And third, they are now able to form their own political parties, such as Partai Solidaritas Indonesia. So we think that they already have a capacity in organizing a political movement. We think that it will be, if we going to talk about practical things, we think that the millennials is already able to form such things. Now, I'm going to prove to you why they can be Indonesian savior. In order to become a political savior should actually be aware about the issues that is living inside the society right now. The issues in society is not the issues that being imposed by this baby boomer, example like religious narrative and so on and so forth. But the issues that living in society are more diverse right now. Example, LGBTQ narratives, minority discrimination, and also like feminism and women empowerment. These issues are unable to be catered by the previous generations. Why? Because all politicians are close-minded to these issues since they are attached with several things. Example, like they come from religion-based party that is unable to actually see further from what their religious views itself. But why we think that millennials will be the right actor to overcome these issues? Because these issues emerged in our country at the era of millennials, ladies and gentlemen. Because beforehand, we don't have these issues being emerged to the public. Historically, internal structure reformation could be achieved by Marxist students like us, right? Because we have nothing to lose. We are disattached with political interest that has been rooted in previous government. We say, if they say that we cannot enter the current political party, but the fact that millennials are already trying to form their own political party, this already shows to us that entering the current political party is not the only way that these millennials should take. If government brings to you that their ability isn't proven yet, we think that regulating this narrative will only make it worse. First, in order for them to prove it, we need to pass this narrative. Why? Because this narrative of supporting millennials as political saviors will actually give them power in politics. Example, like it will ease them to get votes when they're campaigning for Partai Solidaritas Indonesia, and so on and so forth. It will be the thing that will make them have the gate to enter the internal structure reformation, ladies and gentlemen. This will put millennials into like the parliament. Millennials who's actually open-minded and also they understand the issues that what we should actually overcome right now. If they want to stop this narrative, then all is left to us is the oligarchy right now. We are unable to develop furthermore, and we are going to stop. But what is this narrative is going to be beneficial in terms of pragmatics? We think it will bring political education. We think that all belief states things only like choose your leader that has the same religion as you. This narrative that brings baby boomer will stop Indonesia to have an extended mind and understanding regarding to social issues. They will stop only in terms of like example like religious values and so on and so forth. This will stop people with high capabilities and skills, example like to overcome issues. Example like they will stop to see people from their meritocracy. It will only impose like political character narratives, right? But under millennial narrative, they will learn things such as policy making and so on and so forth. Because now the millennials are actually saying that hey, if you want to choose a leader, you need to make a comparative debate between what policies that could actually give to you and what is more beneficial to you. But last benefit that you will get, Indonesian millennials give another political alternative such as fundraising. This will actually minimize the hardness of certain funds while campaigning. We think that older generation like Prabowo is already following these kind of things. We think that they are being influenced by millennials. We think that millennials are more of upper hand than their previous generation. We back to oppose.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not talking about whether or not the millennials can become political saviors or maybe elsewhere, or we are also not talking about how to change the status quo, right? But here in this debate, we want to compare which word that can be better. That if we send a narrative to the millennials, if we put the burden and the responsibility to the millennial, or comparing to just making all of the generation to make a collaboration to make Indonesian political become better. So several rebuttal to the opposition of the House. They are saying about if They're saying they're believing that the millennials have the power to put the new narrative of politics, right? But the thing is, it won't open the doors, ladies and gentlemen, because the baby boomers won't be able to accept these open values, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that our leader right now in the status quo is still the baby boomers itself, right? So because of they are not trying to understand that. So the thing is, so comparing to our side of the house, we believe that if we have a collaboration to the baby boomers, maybe just like they may help us to control or they teach us rather than just we put the burden to the millennials, ladies and gentlemen, and it will be better. That I will explain it later. And the second of all, they also talking about the difference. They comparing which one is better, which actor is better, right? They also saying about the starting point of the millennials is different. They're saying about the millennials have the capability to access the technology, ladies and gentlemen. So we believe that that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we need the previous generation to control us, because we believe that the technology have the really strong power to make young generation to become worse, maybe, for example, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we need the previous generation to help us to make the politics become better. And the third, they also comparing with the previous generation, which also they say about the narrative that is they are conservative and so far, ladies and gentlemen. But we believe that it is not the burden of the millennials itself to change it, ladies and gentlemen. It is because we believe that with the collaboration, the previous generation will also trying to make the stability or make the thing that is suitable to generation right now, ladies and gentlemen. So, the thing that is less explanation that our argument is that still in the end of the day, the opposition of the House do not respond about our argument that is political hierarchy, right, ladies and gentlemen, because we believe that our founding fathers that is still continuously lead our nation right now, ladies and gentlemen, because, for example, Prabowo and Megawati that already explained by my first speaker, because but in our party, they cannot really change the main goal of the party, right? So the principle of the party, for example, the conservative may be go on, ladies and gentlemen. So even if they can, it's not fully supported, ladies and gentlemen, because of what we can see that what the young generation can do, their struggle really have to struggle to have a position in the political, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we are not putting the burden only for young millennials generation, ladies and gentlemen. We are putting the burden to all of generation to have to support each other to make the political become better in the end of the day. And the second of all, that they are not respond of our government is they are for ignoring about problem inherited from the past generation, right? So because we believe that the problem is also starting with the past generation, we believe that the millennials cannot easily to change it, ladies and gentlemen. So jumping to my comparison, in this debate, we're going to compare which word that can make the political become better, ladies and gentlemen. In our world, if there is no narrative to the millennial as a political savior, it means that there is no blaming in the end of the day to the millennials, ladies and gentlemen. There is no burden. There is no full responsibility to the millennial to change the political. That we believe that it is really hard for the millennials, ladies and gentlemen. But here we propose that every generation have the responsibility to make the political become better, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. And if they say that the millennials have the strong power to change the political, we believe that it will be hard and inefficient, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I say so? Because we believe that in current status quo, the leader of our political is still the people that come from the previous generation, ladies and gentlemen. So it's really hard to millennials to only job, ladies and gentlemen. Comparing to their work, ladies and gentlemen, if the narrative still exists, then the burden of the millennial itself will be higher, ladies and gentlemen, because we put the responsibility to the millennial, ladies and gentlemen. So while the baby boomers or the previous generation also have the responsibility to control the political, ladies and gentlemen. So our goal here is to compare which narrative that will bring much more better world in the end of the day, right? So if they are coming about the progressive idea or values that they are believing millennials can make a social movement and so forth, we believe that it will not happen in the end of the day because right now it is status quo. The leader of our government is still the people from previous generation, right? And even if it is happened, it will not be such an efficient rather than we make the collaboration for all generations, ladies and gentlemen. So because of that, we proud to propose. Thank you. Three questions in this debate. First of all, about millennial characteristics. Second of all, about the narrative that we are talking about in here. And second of all, whether each generation still can be represented under our side of the house. First of all, about millennial characteristics. Under their side, they are coming with a very negative and very pessimistic characteristic of millennial. That they say that the nature of politics is always dirty, and that is why millennial is going to be dirty anyway, right? But we say that it is such an extreme examples, and this is coming from a bare assumption, and this is why we will refuse this premise. And also they say that even if millennial is coming to the political environment, it's not going to change the popular opinion anyway. But we say this isn't true, right? We can see that Ridwan Kamil that is put such an attention to the millennial cause and get such a huge support from the millennial nowadays. So we say it is not true. And third of all, they say that it's hard for millennial to change the environment within the party. We say that even if it's true that millennial it's actually hard for millennial to change the environment within the party, we have this success case, for example, like PSI, where they can prove to us the capacity of millennial in organizing political movement, right? And also, even if they are in an environment where there is such an old beliefs that within the party, we say that at least our voice as millennial, our voice for these progressive changes still can be heard within the party. And rather than their side where our voice it cannot be heard at all, right, ladies and gentlemen. And also, the millennial, they dismiss the characteristics of millennials that been proposed from under our side of the house. We say we are coming from this urgency where there is this where we are actually have this this like program the needs to change the society, like the progressive movements. There are a lot of things that needs to be changed. There are a lot of new understandings. There are a lot of things that's been found. For example, like LGBTQ and feminism. And we say millennials could relate more to these issues rather than other cohorts. But under our current status quo, the thing is. There are very little people who represent our voice. We couldn't make such changes. For example, like the protest regarding LGBTQ that was raised before is only an uplift chaos, right? And this is why because of this characteristic of millennials that we propose, millennials actually have a more moral responsibility to make a change, right? And this is why their argument about that millennial doesn't have the responsibility, more responsibility is not valid. And also, they say about the characteristic of millennials about skepticism that they are
skepticism, and we are aware that there are a lot of millennials that doesn't really aware about the political issue and social issue, but we say that so that they are even if the skepticism about the government that they are that nothing will change with the government, like this skepticism, but even if they are very pessimistic towards the government, they are aware about what's needed to be changed, right? Imagine that if the narrative is if this narrative is actually heard by the millennial can aware that their present is actually matter, that it can raise such an awareness, it can change. It can change in case like the millennial can raise the awareness of raise the awareness of millennials that they are actually matter and that they are actually can change the political environment. And also, let's talk about the narrative that we are talking about. They say that we don't engage about what they want, but we are actually aware what they want. We want that everyone to be represented. They want that every cohort wants to be represented as a savior, right? But we say under our current status quo, it is already happening, right? But under our current status quo, where actually we all know that actually everyone can participate in our political environment. But the thing is, nothing is changed, right, ladies and gentlemen. And also, on their side, it's also not proven where the old actor that hasn't, the old actor is actually can make such change regarding the shifting society that demand a lot of changes, right? But under our side, you can at least spread the awareness. You can actually spread the awareness from so millennials could be because millennials feel important because they know that their reason is actually matter. They would be follow like political issue. They would read more news. This is actually going to improve our education and politics, right? Because why this awareness is actually very urgent, because we are actually live where there are a lot of media to read news, right? But here's the thing: when we have a lot of platforms, a lot of news platforms, we are actually only want to see what we want to see, right? This is why there are a lot of extremists in our society nowadays, because people who doesn't have any education, they have this a lot of platform and they only want to see what they want to see. This is why under our side of the house, because of the awareness, because they want to learn more, we actually can have the generation where we can have an objective assessment towards what's actually happening right now. And also, lastly, whether under our side of the house, each generation can still be represented. We say lastly, they also say that they also say that there are a lot of millennials that hold the old beliefs, right, ladies and gentlemen. That is not going to be changed because millennials who hold the old beliefs also can be here. But we actually believe under the dynamic of democracy, right? So at least under our side of the house, the progressive values is not going to be oppressed anymore. For those reasons, we are very positive.
Ladies and gentlemen, if this debate is about actual comparison between millennials and also baby boomers, we already proved to you how millennials are actually better than the previous generation. Ladies and gentlemen, we proved to you about how that they are now aware with so many humanitarian issues that previously baby boomers generation only going to impose religious narrative towards the people. We think that millennials are born with comparative advantages, with so many information is open towards them, where this becomes the indication of how they will become more aware to international issues and humanitarian issues that live in our side. We think if this is an actual comparison debate, we think that we already won the debate. Second, they say that all generations should work with one another. But they never show to you what that this millennial narrative should not be counted anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Why? If that all generations should work together, the millennials narrative should be outcasted from this debate. They never prove to you why is it really dangerous. But if this becomes a practical debate saying that about the capacity, about how millennials could overcome the current government, we think that the practical hardness that already imposed to us is actually irrelevant in actual debate. But even if that is the problem in this debate, we have shown to you why we could still overcome it. We think that the previous young generation could actually create reformation protest to actually overcome and to throw down the Suharto's regime. We think that there is so many possibilities that we could actually have. But they say that internal structures could be only achieved, example, like following the current parties that already exist in Indonesia. We think that there is other alternative that the millennials could do. We already imposed to you an example, like a Partai Solidaritas Indonesia, where these millennials are actually could make their own political party in order to support their own values and so on and so forth. So we think by they saying that the hardness will become because that we are unable to overcome the leaders inside the current political party, we think that it is not exclusive anymore, ladies and gentlemen. But also they never prove to you how the previous generation could overcome today's issues, because what the previous generation still say in their narrative is only like example like religion narrative and so on and so forth. We think that the availability of the millennial generation will actually bring better political education towards the people. We think that this will be a development in our society. The society are already aware about how to choose the leader that we should choose. Example like now, millennials are imposing like policy debate and so on and so forth. Now millennials will create like JOVED and so on and so forth. Right? We previously we don't have in the society of by baby boomers. So we think that millennials could actually bring political education, and this political education are not being provided by the previous generation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to give them winning example, then because millennials are unable to overcome with the system, we think that this narrative should be supported in the first place for them to overcome the system towards internal structure. Because in order for the millennials to enter parliament, choose to become the House of Representatives, this narrative should be upholded in order to campaign their struggle, in order to campaign their values. But only by this way, supporting their narrative, that we are able to achieve the internal structure, the internal reformation to outcast like the baby boomers and so on and so forth, which they already say to you that is also dangerous because they are corrupted and also like support nepotism and so on and so forth. By all of these reasons, ONJ claimed their Novice title. Thank you.
The opposition side of the saying that this is about the comparison between the millennial generation and the baby boomers, right? And which is better between those two actors. But we say actually from the first one speech, this is not about the between the two actors which is better. But we said that which is what is better when the millennial is actively being pushed by every generation to change the world, or in our side when there are not some that kind of burden to the millennials. But firstly, we have to clarify that we doesn't deny that the millennial have the capability, because I told you before how the millennial have accessibility to technology science. But we regret the idea that every problem that currently having in Indonesia right now is the burden of the millennial itself. The opposition is very optimistic to change the whole politics in Indonesia, like for example, like overthrow the government and give awareness for education. But I will told you two reasons why there isn't education and awareness. It is still hard to change our system. Firstly, about the political hierarchy, and then second is how this problem is inherited by the past. Right? The most problematic in Indonesia is the political hierarchy that most of the leaders is from the past generation and always wants to control the party itself. Right? I believe that this kind of political hierarchy is never been responded by the opposition of the house. They only just assume that if we give awareness and education, and suddenly this kind of millennial can change the whole system. Right? But I told you before, this kind of rumors is very hard to change. So therefore, what do we want to state our stance in this case? We want to change the imposing the burden to millennials itself. So we want to change the stance that every generation, we want to impose the burden that every responsibility is our generation, not just the millennial itself, right? Therefore, the collaboration will much more happen in outside of the house. But firstly, we're not talking about actually, for example, like reformation like 1980 or any aspect. This is the exact problems where this is very problematic. We can see that even right now, even after a demonstration, there are some kinds of past generation they stated that actually, oh, Suharto period is much more better than now, right? This shows you that the baby boomers is not like the millennials anyway, and always blaming the millennials, even if the millennials already changed, right? So, and not to mention, even if they stated about the PSI or anything else, they're totally different in my speech, right? Even if they are progressive party like the SI is still being overshadowed by another party like Golkar or PDIP that also never been responded by the opposition side of the house, right? But the next thing is the top speaker talking about the awareness and how the education can make people try to involve in politics, right? But we see it is already too late, and should not be counted. But even it is counted, but it is not exclusive in the opposition side of the house because the awareness can still be in outside of the house. When in outside of the house, every generation has the responsibility, so every generation have the awareness to change the dirty political systems, right? So in conclusion is, if you go to the opposition side of the house, maybe it's true that millennials have the capabilities or awareness, but we won't change the system because of the problematic of between the baby boomers versus the millennials itself. Then every problem should be solved by the millennials itself. But if we go to the government side of the house, at least the burden is not only just for the millennials itself, but the burden is for the all generation in one nation to change the dirty politics in the system right now. So therefore, please go to the government side of the house. Thank you.